Hey guys, Mark here, and I finally got my hands on a pair of Galaxy Buds Live, otherwise affectionately known as the Galaxy Beans. And I actually like that name so much that I'm probably going to call them the Beans throughout this review. So anytime I say the word beans, I mean the Galaxy Buds Live. The interesting thing here is that I don't know if you can actually call these earbuds. I mean, look, traditionally, earbuds are these things, right? The buds that you put into your ear canal. But the Beans have such a different and interesting design and actually don't have that bud that goes into that ear hole. Normally, you would think that this protruding part up here would be the part that goes into your ear, but those right there are actually the contacts that connect to the charging case. The 12mm drivers that you actually listen to audio with are down here at the bottom. So the way these work is that you stick these drivers down where the earbuds would normally go, and then the rest of the earbud kind of just sits into your ear. When I first saw these things, I thought they were the strangest looking earbuds I had ever seen. And I wasn't even really sure that I wanted them because of that. But now that I have them in my hands, I'm really glad I bought them because these are actually pretty good. So when they're out of your ears, you can easily see why the Galaxy Buds Live are referred to as beans. They quite literally look like a pair of lima beans, and in Mystic Bronze, I still think they look pretty darn strange. But in this glossy white color, they're actually kind of cute. I don't think I've ever called a tech product cute, but I think the Beans deserve that descriptor. They magnetically attach to the charging case via those little contacts I mentioned earlier, and they don't fall out easily if I turn the case upside down. The case itself has a pretty nice design as well. It's just big enough to fit the Beans inside, so while it is a little bit chunkier than some other earbuds cases, it still passes that small pocket test and is small enough to carry around with you without any issues. The glossy finish looks great, but as with anything that has this kind of finish, it will pick up those fingerprints. Luckily, white is a pretty forgiving color when it comes to fingerprints, so it's not a big deal. Samsung has gotten pretty good at hinge designs over the years, and their expertise has come into play with the Beans case as well. It's nice and solid, and it's got magnets at the top for the closing snap that everybody loves. On the inside, the case has a matte gray texture to accentuate those white beans, as well as a charging light to indicate whether the buds are fully charged or are currently charging. Speaking of charging, the Beans case has a USB-C port in the rear for fast charging, and it also supports wireless charging on any Qi standard wireless charger. The full package is actually pretty nice. I'm not sure if it's the glossy white that's getting me to say this, but I think it's one of the best looking earbuds cases on the market, even with the odd looking Beans inside. Now let's talk a little bit more about the Beans themselves. On the outside of each bean, you'll see a couple of holes for the microphone array, but what you're not going to see is the touchpad. To control the Galaxy Beans, you can touch anywhere in this area to do different things that you can set inside the app. By default, tapping once will play or pause your music, and pressing and holding for just a second will activate or deactivate the active noise cancellation, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail in just a minute. I've always been fairly critical about these tap touchpad types because although you can reassign volume up and down to a press and hold, it isn't all that intuitive and it doesn't work that well to quickly adjust volume. It would be a lot better if it allowed swipe gestures. That way you don't have to remove a function and you can adjust the volume a lot more quickly. At the very least, the touchpad is responsive and the area you can touch is pretty large, so you won't have much trouble using it overall. Okay, now let's talk about comfort. This is, in my opinion, the #1 reason why you should consider buying these earbuds in particular. These are the most comfortable pair of truly wireless earbuds I've ever put in my ears. They don't shove into your ear canal. They nestle very nicely into the inner part of your ear so that they're very well supported, and they sit flush with the outside part of your ear so that you can actually sleep with them in your ears without any problems whatsoever, which is actually what I did last night. I fell asleep listening to the That Creative Life podcast, shout out to Sarah Peachy and her awesome pod, and when I woke up, they were still in my ears. Now, just a disclaimer here, and I say this about all the headphones and earbuds that I test. My ears and your ears are very different. Just because the Beans are comfortable for me doesn't mean that they're always going to be comfortable for you. That said, they do come with an extra pair of earwing thingies if you don't find the default ones to be the right shape. While they are incredibly comfortable because of the fact that they don't have a bud that digs into your ear canal, that kind of design comes with some drawbacks, and one of them is the passive noise cancellation. The Beans don't make any kind of seal inside your ears, so noise can pass through pretty easily. Samsung has tried to counteract this flaw with active noise cancellation, although the results are not great. It does seem to cancel out some of the low rumbling noises like the sound of a fridge or the sound of a ceiling fan, but when it comes to more louder, more irritating noises like people talking, a TV playing, or even just cars passing by, it does next to nothing. That's a good segue to microphone quality though, and these are actually pretty good when it comes to that. They aren't the best sounding pair of mics I've ever heard, but they certainly aren't the worst either. Pretty average overall, and you should be able to carry out phone calls without getting many complaints about the quality of your voice. Battery life is an area that is very important when it comes to truly wireless earbuds, and I probably should have thought to bring this up when we were talking about the case, but better late than never, I guess. The beans themselves will get you an advertised 6 hours of use before you need to charge up, and I'd say that's fairly accurate as long as you aren't using the microphones to talk for hours at a time. I got about 5.5-ish hours yesterday while testing with the noise cancellation turned on and off at random intervals. According to Samsung, the case will give you an additional 21 hours of use with the buds until you need to charge the case again. 27 hours total is actually pretty good and is above average for the wireless earbuds market. Now, the most important part, and if you've watched all the way through just to hear my thoughts about the sound quality, thank you so much for your patience. Here it is. If I had to sum it all up into a singular sentence, I'd say that the beans do sound good overall, but for how radical this design change is, I was expecting just a little bit more. Mids and highs are nice and crisp at all but the highest volumes. There is some minimal distortion up there, but the lows leave something to be desired. For how big these earbuds are, I was expecting the 12mm AKG tuned drivers to put out just a little bit more bass than they did. The sound feels more open and airy because of the design of the beans, but overall I wouldn't say that they sound a whole lot better than the cheaper Galaxy Buds Plus that debuted earlier this year for less money. The Galaxy Wearables app will allow you to switch between 6 different presets, but there's no custom equalizer here for tuning the sound exactly how you want it. There are some other handy features in here though, like the function that reads your phone notifications back to you through the earbuds, or the Find My Earbuds feature where it will play a loud noise from the earbuds so that you can find them if you lose them nearby. It also has what they call seamless earbud connection, where the beans will actively switch between any device that is paired through the app like multi-point Bluetooth. But unfortunately, the Wearables app on my iPad Pro doesn't have this feature, so I wasn't able to test it out. The Galaxy Buds Live, or the Galaxy Beans, whatever you want to call them, is the perfect example of Samsung doing what Samsung does best. Innovating in the strangest way possible and yet doing a lot of things right. The comfort of these earbuds are unparalleled for me, and that's what's going to keep me using them around the house. That last part is important though. I said around the house because I wouldn't recommend these for traveling at all. They just let in way too much external sound, and you'd have to crank the volume all the way to the top if you're on a bus or in a busy restaurant, even though you probably shouldn't be in either of those places right now if you can avoid it. Either way, I think for most people, there are better options out there, even in Samsung's own lineup. The Galaxy Buds Plus come in at a cheaper price and offer better noise cancellation and a more versatile feature set, so if you want to check out my review of those, I'll have a link for you up here somewhere. As for the beans, I'd love to see a version 2 of these with an improved low end and much better active noise cancellation, and I think if they can nail those two things, the beans would be an incredible value. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to support my channel, and as always, have a great day.